text messages because of a couple reasons. There are yeah, let me see. So they recommended not using it anymore because the system that it's used was compromised, and there were people sitting on there just watching all the traffic going by. You know, well, the people running the system, you know, found that out, so now they've taken steps to ameliorate that a little bit, but still that possibility exists. And then this is starting to happen more now too. The fact that your cell phone number is portable, you can, you know, get a new phone, go say, hey, I'd like my old number on my new phone, and then they make that happen. Well, someone else can get a new phone and say, these people are just geniuses at social engineering, you know. They find out a little bit about you, and then they go and say, hey, you know, I'm, you know, John, and I got a new number, put it on this phone, please. And then you read them the stuff on the phone, and pretty soon the number's on the phone, except that, you know, it's your number on their phone now. And so the first you notice is that there's no service on your phone. It might take you a little while to figure out why, and in the meantime, they've got access to all your second factor authentications. And if they've, especially if you've used the same password on multiple accounts, they can get into multiple accounts, and even if you have two-factor authentication on it, they get it. They get into your account, and you know the first thing they'll do is change the password so that you can't get into your account anymore. And you know now you just got a lot of work to do to undo all of that, if there's no financial damage done. So they don't recommend you use it, and there's an increased incidence of thieves getting your numbers. Not that it's rampant, but you know it's become enough of a problem where the carriers now will offer you to put an extra passcode on your account, so that before any changes like this are made, you have to give them that extra passcode, whether you're talking to them on the phone or online or in a store, you know, the AT&T or you know Verizon store, whatever.
But there's not a check made when somebody comes in and says they want my phone number. There's not a check made to see that number's already in service on somebody else's phone.
Oh, well, it's in service on your phone.
Well, I know, but I'm not holding the phone that it's on service.
No,
you know?
You've got your new phone that you're presenting to.
No, you dropped that.
I don't know.
That off the boat.
Yeah, I don't know.
I see. I lost that one. That's the
yeah,
scam.
I honestly don't know how this works.
Yeah.
I just know that it does work. You know, it doesn't make sense to me either. That
So yeah. So if you've got a PayPal account, they use this texting.
Yes. Yeah. And
so you're saying they would have to have hacked your PayPal
account.
Your password for PayPal.
Yes. Yeah. And especially if your password for PayPal was the same as the password from someplace else that got hacked. So they'll go, once they get a bunch of passwords, it's nothing for them to program the machine to go to this place, try this password, username, try. They can run through, you know,
so
a lot quicker.
If somebody hacks PayPal, that's how they get my password? How do you hack an account? Do you have to hack PayPal?
Yes, you would have to breach PayPal's servers.
So that's my name, my phone number.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And honestly, I don't know how to do that. You know.
Well, no, but I mean, I'm trying to figure out why I shouldn't keep using PayPal.
You should
text.
You should. Like I said, this is better than way better than not having a two-factor authentication. Because honestly, you know, there's how many cell phones around? You know, there's that security through obscurity. You know, you're just hiding among a billion cell phone users. What's the chance of yours becoming complicated? You know, but it does happen. You know,
sure.
You know. No, so you would just, if you wanted this, you just go to, you know, whoever your carrier is and search around for, you know, extra security or extra passcode, or just call them up and say, I want to put this on my account, you know, and that's an easy fix against it. So let me just talk about one thing on software, and that it's a continuous cycle. You know, they make software, someone discovers a vulnerability, it gets exploited, and then the exploit gets found, so they issue you a patch. Now everything's fine, and then there's a new exploit. So it's just a continuous cycle like this. So the best defense against that is just to keep updated. And if the easiest way for that is automatic updates. It doesn't work for everybody. If you're running something that has to be up, and you have to choose when it's down, you can't just have it do it automatically. But for most people, automatic updates. And then running as a standard user as opposed to administrator. Does everybody know what that means? So on your machine, there are different levels of access that are permitted. And so there's an administration level where you can do anything to the computer. You can go in, you can install software, you can make changes at the very basic software level. And so you have a whole lot of power to change things. When you run as a standard user, you tell the machine, don't let this account do any of that stuff without asking first. So now, if you're running as a standard user and you want to install a piece of software, the machine says, no, you can't do that. And it'll pop up a little window, say, put in the administrator credentials, and then once you prove that you are the administrator, then it'll allow all of that to happen. And so if you run as an administrator and you get something bad on your machine, you download, you click a link in an email, it can do whatever it wants if you're running as an administrator. But if you've set your user account up as a standard account and you click that same link and it comes down and it wants to put stuff on you, make changes to your computer, you'll get that little window that says, hey, put in your administrator password. So now you know something's happening, but nothing has happened. So it's a protection layer.
So, but you still have to have an administrator account on the computer.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
You just don't run day to day with that.
You can run for until you want to do something like install something or make a change.
What about automatic updates from Windows?
Automatic updates are fine standard. You don't have to be administrator for that because those are the operating system.
But to do a Java update, you'd have to.
Yeah, that you'd need the administrator. Yeah, stuff. And so, so now you also want to have a password on yours so that no one can get into it. But it's especially important to have a password on the administrator account. Because if you're running as standard user and you do click a link in something, that software knows that it needs administrator privileges, so it's going to start to install. It knows that window is going to come out, and so it knows that if I click OK, or enter before that window comes up, there's a chance that window will go right back away, and I'll be able to continue. You won't see anything happen, or you might see just a little flicker on the screen, and then you don't know anything's gone by. Whereas if you have a password on the administrator account, it's going to go in, it's going to try to do it, it's going to say, oh, here comes the window, enter, but that's not the password. So now you get the prompt that says, uh-oh, what's going on, stuff. It keeps you safe. And so the way to do that would be if Windows, Mac, what do we have here pretty much?
Everything.
A little everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so Windows is up there. You'd go to the control panel, and again, you'll have all these slides, so don't worry about worrying these. You go to the control panel and then to Windows Update, and you change settings, as this is where you update automatically. And then for the Mac, you go to Systems Preference in the App Store, and that's where you set all the updates for automatic and stuff. And then if you go back to the control panel to your user accounts, that's where you can check to see if you're running as a standard user or administrator, and then to make sure that your account is password protected. And if it's not, then you can click that and go into the settings and arrange that. And then for a Mac, you'd go System Preferences, Users and Groups, and again, make sure you're running standard and that you have a password.
Same for an iPad?
iPad, I think an iPad is, it doesn't have those different levels. As far as I know, you can't do anything. It is locked down from Apple, and the only changes that can be made are your updates or through the App Store and stuff like that. I don't think there's
Right.
anything that you can do.
Click a bad link in an email.
Click a bad link in an email, and you're probably better off on an iPad than a computer. I don't know that it wouldn't do anything, but I think, anybody have a feel for that? Yeah. So that's that. Let me see now. Did anybody looking at this, anything trigger any interest at all? If not, I'll go to, John Olson, is he here tonight? Hi, John. Yeah. There was those questions about open Wi-Fi, and then we'll talk about some email stuff too, unless anybody has any other stuff they'd like to do. And what do we got? We got another 20 minutes. So.
Yeah, looking good.
All right. So. There's different kinds of Wi-Fi. There's open Wi-Fi, and then the secure Wi-Fi with the padlocks, and then you can use your phone as a modem, or VPNs and stuff. So let's talk about some of that. So open Wi-Fi, is just where you hook up. If you look on your list of available Wi-Fi, it's the one without the padlock. And so if you click on that, you'll just go connect to it. And so that is sniffable. There's no encryption on the thing, so you can see everything that's going by. So when you first hook up, there's no encryption between the device, and so you can see it. And if you're sending, everything that's going by is in plain text, so anybody who knows how to sniff it can see everything that's happening. So there's no protection there at all. But at some point, you're going to open up a browser and launch an app, and then if that browser where you go has an HTTPS padlock, it's a TLS connection, or the app that you open up has an encrypted connection, then everything that goes through there can still be seen, but it's just all this random gibberish encrypted blob that goes by. So you do have a single layer of security there and stuff.
So like Xfinity Wi-Fi, which is very prevalent now, that doesn't show locked.
Yeah.
So it's an open Wi-Fi.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about Xfinity. I don't know much about it, but what little I do coming up. And
if you're at an airport and you tune in to the Wi-Fi, you say it's sniffable. Anybody could look at your stuff?
Anybody who knows how. I don't know.
I mean, but some people
but
would know.
Some people could, yeah.
So
Because it's not encrypted, yeah. They can see, until you get an encrypted connection from your browser or an app, they can see everything that's going by. And when this first started to become prevalent, all of those encrypted connections, like to Facebook and everything, there was a lot of equipment overhead needed to provide that secure connection. So there weren't many of them. Everything was all in clear text. And so you'd be going to Facebook or logging into your bank and stuff, and people who knew how were watching your passwords and usernames and everything go by. Now all of that stuff is secure connection. You see that little padlock up in the URL bar, and so it's still, they can see it going by, but it just doesn't mean anything. There's no information.
All right, but if there's excuse me, Tina, if there's a padlock on the site, like I'm looking at what's available here right now, I thought that meant that I just had to have a password to get into that Wi-Fi.
And it's
more than
encrypted.
that?
And it's encrypted.
It is encrypted?
Yeah, so no one can, once you do that, no one can see it.
Oh,
See
okay.
into it.
Oh, $200.
The only thing that they can see is something that you're actually actively doing.
Yes.
It's not anything that's it's on, if I don't go to the bank and I don't go to all those other places, I'm just texting or something, and they can see it, but they can't get into the other stuff.
No,
Is that right?
they can't get it into your machine
Okay.
through that. They can't get into your machine and root around through these files and stuff
So
like
when you're
that.
at the airport, you just don't join any of that Wi-Fi, just go through AT&T. Is that okay?
I'm gonna get to
Oh,
that
you're
right
gonna-
next, yeah, and that is okay, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you're at the airport and you're using a password manager like LastPass, they can still see if you're typing in your master password, they can see that.
No, they can only see what leaves your machine, on its way to the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
And at that point, it's been encrypted already.
Because LastPass has a virtual keyboard that you can use too, and I'm not sure if that's really any.
Yeah, I've never
Safer?
used that. I don't really know what
Safer?
that is.
Yeah, I would think, but I don't know.
I don't know, yeah. When you hook up to, on your list, there's the ones with the padlock there,
Mhm.
and that's encrypted, that's secure Wi-Fi, it's encrypted. So that's not sniffable. And then if you've got a secure connection inside, now you've got a dual layer of security against what you're doing. So if you can, you want to use secure Wi-Fi. There is something called a VPN, which is a virtual private network. And what that does is that provides an encrypted tunnel between your device and whatever's providing that VPN service. And so if you have get that tunnel going and you're sending plain text through, you still have a single layer of protection. And if you've got that tunnel and what you're sending through is encrypted, now you've got that, you're back to the double layer of protection, so it gives you that back. Another nice thing about VPNs is that DNS is for the domain name system. And as humans, we know we want to go to silverstripes.org. But the machine doesn't know that. The machine's looking for some number to go to. And so the domain name system takes Silver Stripes and turns it into a number, and then tells all the network stuff, this is the number you want to use to go and stuff. And so there's more secure or less secure domain name systems out there, and the VPNs tend to use the more secure ones. So that's another benefit of the VPN.
Can I say,
Mhm.
Dashlane, just a couple months ago, I used Dashlane, and they provide VPN for free.
Do they? Very good, yeah.
Part of the service.
Nice, yeah, I didn't know that, good. Yeah. The thing about a VPN, and this is not a big thing, but if you go from your home and you go to your bank and you say, remember me, and then you don't have to log in as much, that's because it knows where you're coming from, and it's got a little cookie on your machine, and so everything tells them that that's you. But if you're using a VPN, you're not coming from home anymore, now you're coming from the VPN. And you may have to re-authenticate all that stuff. You might have to put username, password, second factor all over again. Even though it usually remembers you, it won't.
Sorry, how do you get a VPN?
There are software VPNs, and you can, Apple, you can just go to the App Store and download a VPN,
Okay.
and then have it on your machine. And there's all different kinds. I think it's PC Magazine just had a 2018 VPN, comparison. So if you're interested, you can do it. But before you do that, I had software